Is that all break again? Wow, full blocking thing. If you ladies don't mind, please turn the buttons. I'll be right back. I'm going to get myself something to drink. I probably can.
Doing good.
Good morning. Morning. How are you doing? Good. Rusty Johnson.
Rusty, I'm on.
Brian? Okay. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
Sure it is.
Parts a little bit Spanish. What's that? Parts a little bit Spanish. What's that?
Oh,
are you?
oh no. What you got?
See one person on Zoom. Hi there. How are you? You are Leah Stark, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Yes, you as well.
I'd be better if I went to the Spanish speaking church. That would I'll learn a little more about that.
Leah, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, I'm a stickler for starting on time. And according to my clock, it's 10 o'clock. Okay, let's do it. Nope. I've got it all set. We got it all set. Thank you. Josh and Ryan, you ready?
Doing good, man. Coming this up, ready to learn something. I expect you to help me make $10,000 a day. If you don't, be pissed.
$10,000.
I said,
That's a fair assessment. That's a fair assessment. That's fair. I had hoped we would have more people, but I guess not. Hey, Brent. I guess there's not that many people out there either thirsty for knowledge or starving to death.
not yet.
So, anyway, my name is Rusty Johnson. For those of you who don't know me, when I do classes, I bribe my participants to participate in the class by bringing candy to give me answers. You need to know something about this class. This is not a pre-prescribed KW class. It's not part of the KW curriculum. This was me stepping up to management and saying, I've been a master for sale by owners since the day I got the business 26 and a half years ago. I've never stopped working for sale by owners ever. And I'm going to show you what I do. And it has an additional benefit now with the market being the way it is, because raise your hand if you've gotten buyers that were part of a multi-offer situation. No, just a couple of you? Okay. 3 of you? Okay, good. Well, when you have a house that's listed in a multiple listing service, all the real estate agents know about it, right? But when you have a for sale by owner, there's very few people that know about it, right? Well, what I have found is that the vast majority of homes out there that are for sale by owner are owned by sellers who are more than happy to work with a real estate agent already representing a qualified buyer. And I'm going to show you what to say, and I'm going to show you how to say it so that you can get them to agree to work with you. Okay? All right. But let's do part 1 first, which is let's pretend the market's not exploding, and let's pretend you just need new listings. Okay? The first thing I want to do in order to teach you how to work with for sale by owners is to use the letters correctly. FSBO. Can you see this where you are, Leah? Can you see those letters?
Yes, sorry. It wasn't unmuting for some reason. I can see them.
Okay, good. Well, a lot of people think that FSBO stands for sale by owner. I can tell you conclusively, I learned early on in the business that that is not what it stands for. Now, mind you, what we're talking about here is shifting your mindset, getting you to think a little bit differently. You remember one of the things that's taught in the Keller Williams culture in Gary's book, Meaning Real Estate Agent book, is to come from contribution. I'm here to help you, okay? Well, I learned that I could switch FSBO to mean the same thing. Because to me, what FSBO means is this. It means, very simply, would a realtor please come help me sell my house? That's what that means. And you got to get that in your brain that that's what that means, because that's what's going to encourage you to want to call them, because they want your help. That's going to encourage you to want to talk to them because they want your help. But here's another little statistic I'm going to throw at you that I learned early on in the business that you may or may not know. 88% of for sale by owners that successfully sell their homes sell it with an agent. 88%. Now, when I was coming up in manufacturing, before I got into real estate business, I used to teach statistics. Everybody said, "Ooh, man, you're smart with math. You can teach statistics." It's really not that hard. But here's the thing. I found that 88% is a high number. That means I got high odds of being able to get this listing eventually, if I can just come up with some sort of system to use, to follow up with them semi-regularly and let them know what I want to do to help them. So what I did is I came up with a system with a little help from Gary Keller. Gary Keller has what he calls, and I'm going to put this over. And how many of you have read the Meaning Real Estate Agent book? Ron, have you read it? Tracy, have you read it? No?
I'm working on it.
You need to work on it. Yeah, okay. Tina, have you read it yet? Okay. Well, I assure you, Matt has about a dozen copies in his office and will be happy to give you one for free. You don't have to buy it on Amazon or anything. Leah, have you read the Meaning Real Estate Agent book yet?
I started it. I haven't finished it.
Okay. Let me just go ahead and make it easy for all of you that are in here. That book is the blueprint for being a successful real estate agent. Period. Period. One of the aspects in that book that will help you is what is called an 8x8.
Mm-hmm.
You familiar with this, John? 8x8. What that very simply means is 8 touches over 8 periods of time. And this is something that a whole bunch of really top producing agents decided was what it takes to be successful in the real estate business. Don't forget that. That's why he's using it in his book, right? So what you want to be able to do with for sale by owners, and how many of you are using some form of CRM? Do you know what a CRM is? It's how you keep in touch with all of your clients and your leads and your prospects, right? Client retention is what's called. You got one, Ron? Okay. Which one are you using? I'm sorry? Command, okay. Which one are you using? Oh, okay. All right. Tracy, you're probably using Command also?
I will be using.
Yeah. And you, John?
I have a prospect list, like a Google Doc. That
Yeah.
says who you think people are looking to buy or sell.
Okay.
And I need to reach out to them.
So you supplement that, put it in as happening.
Yeah, because I don't.
That's very smart. That's very smart. Don't load it up unless you need it. I get it. How about you, Lee? Are you using Command also?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we've got a new person on. Are you with us?
Shamira,
Shamira, I'm sorry. Shamira, are you with us?
I couldn't hear you. Say that again.
I said, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, good. Let's make sure everybody's paying attention. All right. Now, what you need to be able to do, you're going to have to keep track of these owners in your CRM. That's very important. Because when you initially talk to them, you're finding out why they're moving, where they're moving, what they're asking for their house, all the specific information about their property you've got to keep up with. And even if you only called 5 a day, and even if you only work 5 days a week, that's going to be 25 a week. And remember, this 8 touches over 8 periods of time is going to be 8 touches, and our periods of time is going to be weekly. So you can imagine how much this is going to add up if you're calling 5 a day, 5 days a week for 8 weeks. Here's my first piece of candy here. You call 5 a day, 5 days a week for 8 weeks. How many is that? 200. Who said that? That's correct. That's correct. 5 a day, 5 days a week. It's going to add up to 200 leads in only a month. That's a lot. And you've got to keep up with each one of their individual wants, needs, and desires to move, right? So you've got to keep up with them. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to first tell me, where am I supposed to find these for sale by owners, Rusty? Where do I find them? So I'm going to start individually, and this time don't blurt out the answer. And I'll start with you, Tracy. If you want a piece of candy, you will tell me where you can find a for sale by owner. Zillow. Okay, that's one. All right, so Zillow has for sale by owner. Does everybody know that? Yes or no? Tina, you don't know that?
Yes.
Leah, do you know that?
Yes.
Zamira, do you know that?
Now I do.
No, now you know. Brian, you know that, right? Okay. So Zillow is a very good location to find some homes that are for sale by owner. That's a great location. All right. Who else wants to raise their hand and tell me another place to find for sale by owners? Ron.
It's Ryan.
Where?
It's Ryan.
Oh, Ryan. I'm sorry. Am I calling you Ron? I'm sorry, Ryan.
Facebook.
Facebook is an excellent place to find for sale by owners. There's a lot of people who, especially the Facebook Marketplace. I'm assuming that's what you mean, right? Okay, Shamira, you're gonna be next in a minute. I'm coming at you, but I can't give you no candy because it's got to be present to win. But Shamira, where else can I find it for sale by owner?
Just driving your local community.
Yeah, the sign in the front yard, right?
Yep.
These people who put a sign up and say, "Will the realtor please come help me sell my house?" In case you said earlier, Shamira. That's what FSBO stands for. You know that, right? Will a realtor please come help me sell my house? It's a big sign sticking right there in the front yard. Dead giveaway, right?
Right.
Sign in the front yard. I actually have what I call bird dogs. Do you know what bird dogs are? Bird dogs are my past clients who, when they're driving through neighborhoods, if they see a for sale by owner sign, they call me. And you know what they get? They get a $25 gift card sitting in the mail. Because I'm going to call up that for sale by owner and I'm going to talk to them the way I'm fixing to teach how to talk to them. But you got to find them first, right? There's also other websites like owners.com. There's FSBO.com. There's for sale by owner.com. Are you seeing a pattern here? Okay. I don't want to bore you. Craigslist has a bunch of them that are for sale. There's a newspaper downtown called in Vista. What's that newspaper that's downtown in Vista?
Three times.
Free Times. Free Times has houses for sale in it that are for sale by owner. Who said that? Tracy was working?
Absolutely.
Free Times is a great place to find homes that are for sale by owner. You're looking for these people who've got the need for somebody to come and help them sell their house. And here's where you can find them. Now, back to the 8x8. Let's take this one step at a time. It's very simple. The very first thing you want to do when you find a for sale by owner is check the MLS first. Now, who's gonna raise their hand and tell me why that's a smart thing to do? Josh?
It could cost you your license if you solicit someone else's clients.
That's one really good reason. That is one really good reason, because you don't know how old that for sale by owner is, right, Leah? Right, Zamara? That for sale by owner might have been up there for weeks, and he just forgot to take it down after he listed it with another real estate agent, right?
Right.
Don't you dare call them if they're only, hell, it could cost you your license. But what's another good reason to call? I mean, just take the multiple listing service before you call. Raise your hand, tell me what another good reason for checking the MLS is before you call. Amy, you gotta have a really good reason.
No.
Well, let me help you then. Let me help you. And now here's a piece of chocolate for helping you. Okay? One good reason that you want to call is because there are real estate companies in our city who will allow you to sell your home yourself as well as put it in the multiple listing service for you. There's a company called iSave Realty. Have you ever heard of, anybody ever heard of iSave Realty? Right? There's another one that's Freedom from Listings. They'll put it in the MLS for you. For a flat fee, they'll put it in the MLS. Why would it benefit you to know that it's in the MLS? Because you know they've chosen somebody to help them market the home. Now, if it's listed with one of these companies that's got an open agreement of just putting in the MLS only, you can still work with them because they're offering a 2.5% commission or a 3% commission to the selling brokers. It says that in the MLS. It says comp SB equals X, right? Because here's the thing. If you don't find them in the MLS, the second thing that you're going to have to do, and this is part one of your 8x8, is after you check the MLS, you are going to have to call them. Call them. Now, remember, you're coming from contribution. You've already changed your mentality by knowing that the reason they've got the sign up in their yard in the first place is because they want you to come help them. They want you to do it. But remember, sometimes it's not what you say, but it's how you say it, right? All you're going to do when they answer the phone is you are immediately going to confirm that you've got the right phone number and that their house is for sale by owner. First, Mr. and Mrs. for sale by owner. I'm calling about the house listed at 123 Umpty Street online. I found it. Is this the right number? Make sure you've got the right number. And when they say yes, what's the second thing you have to do? You have to immediately identify yourself as a realtor. Immediately. I'm Rusty Johnson with Keller Williams Realty. And before they hang up, you got to talk fast because some of them will hang up on you. All right? Get used to it. You have to think skin to be a realtor. Before they hang up, you want to say, the only reason that I'm calling is because I want to get some more specific information about this house. Is that okay? Ask permission. See how I'm doing that? Now, what objection are they going to have if you take 5 minutes of their time to verify the information that they put in their ad? Now, some of them are going to be a smart aleck and say, can't you read? Everything's in the ad right there. I don't care how good they write that ad. There's going to be something missing. Is it 1 story? Is it 2 stories? The master bedroom on the main floor or the second floor? How old is the house? How did you come up with your price? There's going to be something you can ask them to specify the information about the house. So what you're doing by asking them that question is you're literally developing some rapport with them to let them know that you are not like the rest of the real estate agents who are calling them and saying, let me list it, let me list it, let me list it, let me list it. Does that sound familiar? Because that's what most of the for sale by owners are hearing. I actually talked to a for sale by owner just yesterday. He told me that he got a call from an agent. The agent asked for his email address, and she went ahead and sent the documents on DocuSign over for him to sign and list it with. She ain't even met the man yet.
There you go. Spray and pray.
That's brazen. That is brazen. So naturally, she didn't get the listing. But to me, that's brazen as hell.
Unsolicited wanted, that person probably won't work with them or want to respond to them.
She was being very brave. I'll give her that. But here's my point. You were wanting to come across from the standpoint of contribution. You were wanting to come across as, I'm not calling to list the property. I've had many of them say to me when I call them up and they say, Rusty, I know the only reason I'm calling because you're trying to get my listing. And you know what I say to them? I don't even know if I want your listing. I haven't even seen your house yet. On a stack of Bibles that high. That is exactly what I have said verbatim. I don't even know if I want your listing. Are there listings that y'all have turned down? Have you ever turned down a listing before? Because either they didn't want to price it right, they didn't want to do some home enhancement that you suggested, won't keep the yard up, the bed's made, whatever.
Unrealistic.
I have. Won't use a lot of box. Bye-bye. Get another agent. Can't sell it, you can't show it. Right? So what I told them is, I tell them, look, all I'm trying to do is give them information here. That's all. That's it. And you have to say it in the manner that makes you feel most comfortable, because if you're not comfortable saying it, guess what? You won't say it. So use what I use. You can copy me. I don't care. There's plenty of business out there for all of us. I'm calling to see if I can get some specific information about the house from the ad. Is that okay? Don't forget that. You're asking permission. Is that okay? Sure, go ahead. Well, it says it's this many square feet. Is that right? It says it's this price. Is that right? It says it's this size. It's this age. It's the master bedroom upstairs or downstairs. And then I throw in a little kind of a conversational piece, right? Let's not just talk totally about business. My conversational piece, Samara and Leah, is, you're not getting ready to leave our fair city of Columbia, are you? And I always do that. You're not getting ready to leave our fair city of Columbia, are you? Oh, yeah. And listen, guys, they don't know anything about agency relationship law. They don't know anything about agency relationship law. Guess what? They become waterfalls of information. They just start spilling it out. Yep, we're going to Florida. I got a job transfer. I got to be there in 6 weeks. And I got no other plans of what I'm going to do to get this house sold if I don't. Rusty's picking up his pen right as fast as he can. Keep talking. Keep talking. Just keep talking. Right? Giving away every bit of motivation for himself. Keep talking. Right? You with me? And the third thing I want you to do after you get some information about the house, we'll call this 2A. After you call them, you get the information. 2B, you want to ask a question. Now remember, you have to ask permission to ask the question. Just like you had to ask permission to get specific information about the house, you have to ask permission to ask a question. Well, Mr. and Mrs. for sale by owner, I've been to Orlando. I love Orlando. I wish you the best of luck getting there. Hey, Kevin, do you mind if I ask you a quick question? 99 times out of 100, you've already developed enough rapport. And by the way, all of this can be done in less than 3 minutes. Less than 3 minutes. And so I get them on the phone, get the rapport developed with them, and I think, do you mind if I ask you just one more question? Because then he says, he's just gonna get out of my way. It's just me on the phone, he's not doing high pressure. I'll still talk to him. Okay. Let me just ask you this, Mr. Bond. Have you given any thought at all? And this is the way I word it. You word it however you feel comfortable. Like I said before, if you don't word it the way you feel comfortable, you won't say it. But here's how I say it. Have you given any thought at all to working with real estate agents that may already be working with a qualified buyer for, let's say, half the normal commission? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. 99 times out of 100. Now, if they say no, guess what's going to happen? They're going to get a call next week, and the week after that, and the week after that, and the week after that, and the week after that. Leah, are you seeing a pattern here? Samara, are you seeing a pattern here? The week after that, they're going to get a call from me once a week, because here's the one thing I learned when I first got in the real estate business. You can write this down and take it to the bank. Motivation changes with time. Whenever someone has told me no, it hasn't meant no. It means not right now. Because if I keep calling them and I keep touching base with them, look, I see you still have your house for sale by owner. I see you still haven't listed it in MLS yet. How's it going? Did you do an open house? Have you done any kind of other advertising? That sort of thing. And if he says yes, what you want to do is you want to send him a gift. Now, I've got to go to another piece of paper and then I'll come back to this, okay? The reason that you want to send him a gift is because the primary thing you're trying to do is differentiate yourself from the rest of the real estate agents out there. There are a number of gifts that you can send this for sale by owner that will help him sell his house himself. Now think about that for just 1 minute. How many real estate agents out there are willing to call up for sale by owners and say, let me just give you everything you need to sell it yourself? Nobody's doing that. Nobody. You're different. You're going to be willing to give him something that's going to help him sell his house himself. Tina, what's one really good thing that you could give him for sale by owner that he could use to sell his house himself? Just think for 1 minute. What would be one piece of information that a for sale by owner would use that would be really beneficial to help him sell his house himself?
Everyone this information was sold in this area.
That's smart. That's a CMA. And I don't know how new you guys are that are watching on Zoom. Leah and Shamira, do you know what a CMA is?
Yes.
Shamira, do you?
Yes.
Okay. What does a CMA do? A CMA tells the for sale by owner what are the active listings that you're competing against, what are the ones that have successfully sold and are appraised, by the way. Don't forget to throw that in. And the ones that have expired, right? And on a price basis, you want to try to make the expired look like they were so high. This is the reason they didn't sell. If you can. I'm not saying that you should actively pick out only certain ones. Pick out the ones that are representative of the whole market of his area. But wouldn't that be a beneficial piece of information for a sale by owner to have to sell his house? Sure it would. Tell you what I'm going to do, Mr. For sale by owner, for taking the extra time on the phone with me today, I'm going to send you a little market analysis that shows you what's going on in your area. Free of charge. My pleasure. Hope it helps you. We'll talk soon. Believe. That entire conversation took 5 minutes. 5. Right? What's another gift? Oh, that was a very appropriate answer. See here, Lee and Shamara, don't you wish you were here? You see this Reese's chocolate? Let me see if I can give you a close up. You see that Reese's chocolate right there? That's what you're missing right there. Okay, there you go. All right. What's another gift that you could give a for sale by owner, Tracy, that would be a beneficial thing for them to use to get their home sold? How about some home enhancement tips? How many of you in the room have ever heard of Merrill May? Ever heard of Merrill May? Merrill May puts out a lot of real estate literature. You know, they do business cards, they do brochures, they do stationery, they do these nice little folders for your listing presentations. Merrill, May, M-A-Y, Merrill May. Guess what else they offer? Home and answer tip brochures. Just go buy a couple of hundred of them. Because the next time that you call, which, how long is it going to be?
1 week.
1 week. Here's call number 2. You're going to need another gift. But back to the gifts for a second. Home enhancement tips. I'll make this real easy for you, okay? Home enhancement tips. You can give them an open house register.
Property disclosure.
What?
Property disclosure.
Blank Property disclosure?
Vendors list. Or photographer, inspector.
Oh, God. Give him Chuck Holmes' telephone number. You can check.
Compensation.
How about a compensation agreement?
There you
All of
They
these
just call in
things,
and say, I have a buyer. Know how to use it.
a compensation
All they do
agreement.
with the fake buyers.
Yeah, a compensation agreement allows them to know what the paperwork's gonna look like. Since they've already said to you, I'm willing to work with you if you have a buyer, they'll probably say, do you? Well, I don't know yet. I just got on the phone with you 5 minutes ago. But if I do, will you? And they'll go, yeah. So here's what you've got to do on the second call. I think I've given you an idea of what kind of gifts you've got to give them. Give them anything that helps them sell the house themselves. Anything. You can go online and print out these open house registers in nice color and fancy paper. Give it to them. It don't cost you nothing. It's free. Now on the second call, the first thing you got to do is what? Let's see how much you've been paying attention. Ryan, what is the second? What is the first thing you got to do on the second call?
Ask them.
No. It's a good thing you ladies weren't here today because I jump on no answers like that. You see how quick I jumped on that? Ryan's over here red as a beet. I said, hell, nope. Pay attention. What's the first thing that you have to do when you call? Check the MLS.
So you check it again.
Yeah, because you know what? They're not going to call you and tell you they listed it with John Doe between that time and that time. They're not going to let you know they listed it. You got to see for yourself. And just like John said a few minutes ago, if you call them and they're listed with somebody else, you might as well hand LLR your license because you just broke them all. You can't do that. Save yourself. Check the MLS. And it's a tape at 60 seconds. Pull up the address. Because I guarantee you they are not going to call you and say, Tina, I just want you to know that although you sent me that really nice blank property disclosure form and you told me that it's the law for me to fill it out as a result of selling all myself, we went ahead and listed with John Doe over here at ABC Realty. Thanks, but no thanks. We went ahead with John Doe. They are not going to do that. They are not going to do it. Don't expect them to call you if they list with somebody else. You have to find out for yourself. Got it? All right. What's the second thing you got to do? Now this is different because you're calling them. That's calling them. But there's something else you've got to say this time. You got to say two things to them. The first thing you got to say is, I'm still looking for a buyer. Because remember, your first call was done under the auspices of I am coming from contribution. I'm helping you. I don't want to list your property for sale. I haven't even seen it yet. All I want to do is know if it's still for sale in case I have a buyer. I haven't run one yet, but is it still for sale? Is it still for sale? I'm still looking for buyers. Still looking. Is it still for sale? Question mark. And then you've got to do something completely different. You've got to ask them, and this is so important. You've got to ask them, and you don't ask them, can I come over and preview it? Because that's too easy for them to say yes or no. All right? You use what Floyd Wickman, you know who Floyd Wickman is, don't you, friend? You use what Floyd Wickman used to say is a woven question. It starts with a W. When can I come over and look at it? So that I can be more familiar with the different features your home offers. When would be a good time for me to come by this week and take a quick look at it? I'll take 15 minutes of your time. Because I need to be more familiar with the features of it. Don't do it on the first visit. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. On the second visit, after you develop rapport, after you send them a gift, after you've reminded them you're still looking for a buyer, after you've kept in touch with everybody else, dropping them like a hot rock when they said they weren't going to listen to them, right? made a little bit of progress here? See how you start to make them feel a little bit more comfortable talking to you instead of these other people who are calling and saying, let me listen, let me listen, let me listen. Can I come over? No, don't say that. Open question. When would it be convenient for me to come by and preview the home so that I can be familiar with the features? Would 1 o'clock be okay, or would 2 be better? Would 4 o'clock be okay, or would 6 be better? Give them an option. Open question though, very important. They will invite you over, you will go over and you will see the house, and then you're gonna come back and you're gonna do what? You're gonna send them a thank you note that's handwritten. Not an email, not an email. Have we talked about Merrill May? Leah, you know who Merrill May is, don't you?
Only because you explained it earlier.
Well, Merrill May also has thank you notes. And Shamara, they have thank you notes. And have the envelopes that go with them with a nice, pretty color-in logo on the corner of it. And it's just blank on the inside. Appreciate you letting me bring you the house. Hope I can get you a buyer so you can get to Orlando sooner. Always relating back to why they're selling, right? There was a very good trainer that trained me when I first got in real estate business. His name was Earl King. He used to say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. How are you showing them you care? You're showing them by saying, I mean, if you're going to Orlando, I'm trying to get there fast or on time, right? Hang up the phone. Third week comes along. Ryan. What's the first thing you gotta do? That's right. Oh yeah, I was gonna sling it at him if he said anything other than that. Check the MLS because they're not gonna call you if they list it with somebody else in the meantime. They're a little bit embarrassed because you've been trying to help them. And they just, for some odd reason, somebody came up to them and said, you know, Josh Stevens is the best thing since sliced bread. You need to hire him. And they're going to hire him because they got word from a trusted source of some sort. Okay? But if you check and it's not in there, then that's good news. Because after you check, you have to call again. And you got to ask the 2 questions. Still looking for a buyer and still for sale. Are we seeing a pattern here? Is there a pattern here, Tracy?
Yeah.
I know this might seem boring. I know this might seem monotonous. I know this might seem oversimplified. But I'm telling you, from personal experience, this works. This works. Because sooner or later, that nut is going to crack. Because these people who are trying to sell their homes for sale by owner are thinking, I've got a job, a career, I've got a family, I've got this house I'm trying to sell, and what little bit of personal time I get to squeeze in there. And sooner or later, they crack. But what you have to do is you have to follow this pattern for 8 steps completely. 8 steps. Finish it. When you get to the 8th step, after you've checked the MLS, after you've called to ensure that it's still available for sale and reminded them that you in fact are still looking for a buyer, after you have called them 8 times and said that, when you get to the 8th time, you have to make a decision because let's do a little more math here. And boy, this is going to be worth 2 of these because you better get your calculators out to get this right. If you're talking to 5 for sale by owners a day, times 5 days a week, times 30 days, times 8 calls per 5. Let me draw it out for you. Let's draw it out. And by the way, you guys can answer too, Leah and Samara. If you want to answer, you can answer. I've got 5 people that I'm calling 8 times. So that's 5 times 8 is 40. Is that right?
That's right.
And I'm gonna do that 5 times. That's 200. That's just in 1 week. And I'm gonna do that for 8 weeks. That's 1,600 calls. And that's just the several hours. That's not any calls you make to your past clients, keep in touch with them, or any other lead sources that you get, right? That's a lot. Now, sometimes you may not reach them when you call. Leave them made for sale by owner message that says the information that you got here. This is Rusty with Keller Williams. I'm doing my regular check with you to make sure that I'm still available to sell. Know that I am still looking for a buyer. If you call me back and let me know that I still need to try to find you, I would appreciate it. And they'll call later that day or the next day. I've had them pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Rusty, been expecting your call." I swear to you, when I was working at Coldwell Banker, I looked at my phone and I saw the caller ID that it was a for sale owner that I had been working with for 8 weeks. And I was training one of the new sales associates in my office there with me. The phone rang. And I said, "Hey, watch this." I picked up the phone. I said, "Ron, how's it going?" He said, "Well, hey, Rusty, how are you doing?" I said, "Tell me what's going on with the house." I said, "I'm really anxious to know if you got a buyer for it yet." I said, "I've been looking every week for the past 8 weeks, and I just can't find one yet, but I'm still looking." He says, "You know what, Rusty, here's what I've decided." And remember, the train was sitting right there. He said, "Here's what I've decided." He said, "I've decided you were right. I've got a career. I've got a family. I'm trying to sell this house. And they have a little personal time. Why don't you come on over here and show me what you and Coldwell Banker can do to help get this house sold?" Well, the trainee fell over in his chair. He said, "You gotta be kidding me. You got for sale by owners calling you, wanting to know if you will come list their house." Yes. They will. If you didn't learn anything from any other classes you've been in since you've been in real estate, you need to know this. There's nothing about real estate that's a secret. It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. How many times have you ever thrown darts? Leah, you and Shamara ever thrown darts before?
Terribly, but I did.
Yeah, I don't do very well, but yes.
Well, Shamara, have you thrown darts before?
Yeah.
You know that the more darts you got, the sooner you're going to hit that bullseye, right?
Right.
Well, that's the same way with for sale owners. It's the exact same way with for sale owners. The more for sale owners you call, okay, the more you keep in touch with them, the more you go visit them, the more gifts you send to them. Sooner or later, they're going to call you and say, "Rusty, the nut is cracked. I need to know what you and Keller Williams can do to help me get this house sold." I've listed hundreds of them. Hundreds. I've been in this business a long time. They have been a primary source of listing leads for me since the day I got in this business. I'll never forget when I went into a for sale by owner training class with Earl King, and he said, "There's these people who stick these crazy signs in the front yard that say, 'Would a realtor please come help me sell it?'" And I asked him point blank, I said, "Earl, tell me how many people of the real estate agents actually call for sale by owners on a regular, systematic basis?" He said, "Only about 2%. I said, "You've got to be kidding me. These people are telling you they want to sell their house. You don't have to guess. It's right there. I want to sell my house. 99% of them don't mind working with a realtor. According to the National Association of Realtors, 88% of them sell it with a realtor anyway, eventually. Why would you not talk to them? I don't understand. Now, what happens when you actually have a buyer that might be interested in their house? Well, that's a great day. That's a great day. Because not only are you not competing against multiple offers in a multiple offer situation for what is listed in the multiple listing service, right? You've got a captive audience. But also you're the only one that's involved in the transaction. You don't have to worry about the competency of a co-broker agent that's involved. Or lack of saying. It's to be that way. Right? You are the one that's handling it. Right? What you have to do is you have to go to .loop. And there's a form that's called an authorization to show form. Right? Where did it go? Authorization to show property. There it is right there. Now, there's only one thing that's missing from this form, and I'm going to tell you how to remedy it, okay? This is the form that you will send to the for sale by owner prior, get that ladies on Zoom, prior to giving your buyer the address. Why is that? Josh, why do you not want to give the address to your buyer before having the seller sign the authorization to show form?
I don't offer work for free. I don't want to.
Because they might go buy it. Dummy. They might go buy it, right?
Knock on the door, hey, we're the buyers.
You tell the buyer, I have found a house that's not even on the market that I think you might be interested in. Boy, here comes the excitement. Really, Rusty, tell me all about it. Tell them about it. Except for the address. You with me? God, Rusty, that does sound like something we want to look at. Go get this form. Go get the seller to sign it. Date it. We, Mr. and Mrs. For sale by owner, owners of the house at 123 Umpty Street, Columbia, South Carolina, 29223, agree to allow Keller Williams and its agents to show this property for the sales price of blank. Now, here's something that you need to understand. If they're marketing this house for $350,000, legally, they are not allowed to change the price to reflect the fact that a real estate agent's involved. That's against the law. That's referred to more commonly as a net listing. You can't do it. They have to sell that for sale by owner to your buyer at the same price that they're using in all of their marketing, whether it be sign in the front yard, flyers, Zillow website, Facebook, Craigslist, friends they give the flyers out to, the flyers in the flyer box on the front yard. Whatever that price is, it cannot change as a result of a realtor being involved. It's illegal. There are people that will tell you, all you have to do, Tracy, is add your company's commission to the price I'm asking for the house, and I will be happy to sell it. You know, gosh, I do an objection handling class too, which I hope they'll be teaching it. You know, I'd really like to do that, but I can't. You know, because it's illegal.
You say it like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Because it's illegal. I spent 26 and a half years building a reputation in cities mile wide. I'm not going to jeopardize it on one piece of property. I'm going to go with what Michael Myers said. I'm going to go with how about no. Put the price in there and put the fee in there. Now, here's what Rusty does. Y'all do what y'all are comfortable with because you'll do it more often. Okay. Rusty puts 3% in there. I used to put 3.5% in there back when the commission was 7%, for those of you that have been in the business long enough. Because if you're representing half of the transaction because you're representing the buyer, you are not representing the seller in this transaction, by the way, I'll be clear about that. Then don't you normally get 3.5% compensation in seller broker for the MLS? Or 3? Now it's 2.5 because nobody has to list it for any length of time. They're listing it for 5%. Compensation instead of brokers is 2.5 because all you got to do is go sign up for your put unless it's gone. Right? What they don't know is it's actually more work because it's multiple offers, but that's okay. Small piece of pie better than no pie. Write that one down. But I put 3% there because technically it's a matter of whether or not the sales price is covered. Commission based on the sales price, not this price. Got it? We reserve the right without notice to Keller Williams to sell this property on our own. What that's essentially saying is if your buyer don't buy it, I can still sell it to somebody else. They are not locked into a full length agreement with you and any other buyer. It's just this buyer, right? No commission will have been earned by Keller Williams if I sell it on my own. Should the prospects introduced to the property during the calendar year purchase property, the commission listed above will be due no later than the date of settlement. Once the property does close, we, the undersigned, hereby grant permission to the above agents to submit the data to the CMLS service for comparables only. Now, the one thing that's missing from this piece of paper, which is very important, because it's going to make the buyers protected and you protected, and it's going to make the sellers feel more comfortable, is the buyer's last name. Because this document only applies to this buyer on this day, it makes them feel more comfortable that you're not locking them into a listing agreement with multiple buyers. So what I do is, on this little witness line right here, notice it lets me modify it. It's modifiable. I just put buyer, Stevens. Or buyer, Jacobs. Always put the buyer's name on, always. Because that way it lets them know it's only this buyer, only this one showing. Doesn't prevent you from selling it on your own. Doesn't prevent you from listing it with a real estate company. By the way, if you'd like me to go and talk to you about what me and Keller Williams can do to help you, I'm happy to do it. Doesn't know that. Yes.
Have you ever had to go to mediation or fight a seller over the commission at the end?
Not with this document. Once they sign it and send it back to me, then I will set a time convenient with your schedule to take my buyer over there and show it to them. If my buyer decides to make an offer on it, this essentially is my listing agreement with them. They will pay our company a commission because we were the procuring cost of sale, if you want to word it that way. But no, I've never had. Never. Yes, ma'am.
Have you seen any real difference in the for sale by owner's willingness to, based on whether it's a buyer's market like it was, 6 or 8 years ago versus what it's like today?
You mean in terms of signing that document?
As far as everything, with for sale by owner, easier, more difficult, more willing, less willing?
That's a great question. I have had a little bit more resistance from for sale by owners to agree to work with me simply because they really believe they're going to be able to sell it themselves in a hot market. So there's less likelihood that they're going to want to agree with you up front to do that. But remember what I said to you earlier, if you call one up and they say, no, we're not going to work with any agents. Remember, no doesn't mean no, means not right now. So I'll call them next week and say, has your motivation changed or did you sell it? If you sold it, great, congratulations. Call me back if you want any advice on how to close it. I'll give you some helpful hints on how to close it. I can't give them too much because I don't represent them. But yeah, there has been a little bit more of a resistance now because there are some of them that are selling them on their own. They are selling them on their own because another real estate agent beat me to it. Not they are selling it on their own because they generated a buyer with their marketing. Let me be clear about that.
Yeah. Still at 88%.
They're still getting an agent that beat me to it. That's why I call them every morning.
It's okay, we're all recording it.
Right out of the gate.
Yeah.
I call them right out of the gate. And you know what I also do? I pull up the list of buyer leads that I'm currently working with because I have my buyer leads broken down by area of town and price, just like the MLS, by the way. If you want to use that, you can. By the area of town and price. And if there's a FSBO that is in the area of town and in that price range, I go up, that might match theirs. Get on the phone. If they'll work with you, get them over there fast as you can. You avoid the multiple loan situation. Nobody wants that. No. I talked to an agent last week. He listed one of the first time home buyer price ranges. He said, by the way, because interest rates are so low between 150 and 200,000 is the first time home buyer price range because the rates are so low, right? He listed the house on Friday morning at 9 a.m. put the multiple listing service and told his sellers to leave. He said, go to the beach for the weekend. Come back Sunday, we'll go over it. In Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, he had 45 showings. 45. He had 19 homes. I said, dude, you're going to spend the night with him Sunday night just to review all those offers.
Right.
I mean, God.
Oh.
Well, it gets a little easier because contingent on appraisal, if you take the VA that pays in, we just slide over the table. So there I go. But these people offering escalation clauses of $10,000 over appraisal, unprecedented. Unprecedented. I had one I listed for $280,000 in Lexington, put it in the multiple listing service, got an offer from a couple from Tennessee, paid $350 for it cash. not contingent on appraisal and not contingent on inspection. They bought it as is, without the due diligence. But I mean, it was a 4-year-old home. It was immaculate. And they didn't even buy it. They had sold their house. They didn't have the 3 weeks to live here. That's not enough time to process a loan. So their daughter, the orthodontist, and her husband, the surgeon, bought it for them. I'm like, we got a problem. Yeah, they had $280,000 in their savings account.
Wow. Wow.
Lord,
Yeah.
do you realize that savings only offers you 0.1% interest?
Yeah.
And you got 280K in there.
Should bought theirs for
Blows my mind. Just blows my mind. But I mean, you got that kind of money, you should go with that.
you. They gotta buy a house.
So when you get to the end of the 8th step, 8 by 8 touches over 8 weeks, you have to make a decision. After you've made 1,600 calls and you've got that many leads in there, you've got to decide whether or not you really believe you've got a chance to get this listing eventually, or you just need to let it go. I mean, it's your decision. You don't have to do what I do. You don't have to do what I do. But when I first got into business, I had a policy of I'm going to call them until they list or die, or tell me to stop calling. You know why? Because I have an addiction to BMW show cars, and I need the money. So, it's just, I'm just going to call. I mean, if I'm coming from contribution and all I want to do is help me anyway, rarely have I had them hang up on me. Rarely have I had them say stop calling me. And usually if they hang up on me when I call them, I call them right back. I'm sorry, we got disconnected. Hand on the second bottle. And I'm a professional. You know, I didn't say anything unprofessional. Treat me like a professional, I treat you like a professional. I mean, that's unfair, right? That's fair. But I had to call them back when I had them. Oh, no, you did. All right, now, the last part of my presentation. Oh, I mean, a little bit long, but I'm okay. I always like to make sure that I covered everything associated with helping you build your business, because I feel like if I help you build your business, then maybe you'll come back and help me sell one of my listings someday. Or maybe we'll be involved in a negotiation when one of my buyers buys one of your listings someday, and it'll be a little bit easier negotiation than it otherwise would have been if I hadn't helped you today. Right? Does that sound fair? Well, I want to make sure that I answer all of the questions that you have about anything related to the sale by owners. And if you have any extra tough questions, I've brought back up so that I can be prepared. By the way, I don't know if you, Zamira, Shamira, I don't know if you and Leah can see my backup for tough questions. This is my backup for tough questions. So if you have any tough questions, I wish you were here. And if there's no tough questions and I don't have to drink this, then I've got a contest for all of you who did attend, and I'm going to give it away. So I guess that's going to mean I'm probably not going to have any tough questions.
That's interesting.
Any question at all about sale by owner? It's an easy program, guys. All you got to do is keep in touch with it. And it's like a numbers game. Just keep throwing those darts. Like we were talking about a minute ago, Shamari and Leah. Just keep throwing those darts. Sooner or later.
Can we do some math?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do this. So if you guys call it, let's say you can't cover 5 a day. How many? Let's say these 3 to 4 days a week you call for sale owners, and you call every single week. How many for sale owners do you think you might list in a month?
That's a good question.
I'll just give you a number that you think might be reasonable.
Even if you only listed one, tell me one.
Yeah, okay, so let's say one. Let's say you call this one, you get one listing a month. It's going to sell right now. We agree on that.
For sure. For
All
sure.
right. So then you're picking your price point. So what do you think that one listings asking price might be
200,000.
Yeah.
200,000.
Yeah.
So let's assume a 3% commission on your side.
Or 2.5 more realistic.
Okay, well, let's assume a 2.5%. So let's do that. Work out your calculator.
$5,000.
So it's 2,500 times what?
Yeah, so it's 5,000. You'll earn a $5,000 commission every single month. So over the course of a year, what's 5,000?
Well, it's gonna be co-brokered probably, right?
Oh, you're getting your 2.5 though. So-
Yeah, so 2.5 of the 200 is still $5,000.
So you're
So
gonna make $5,000 a
That's an
month,
extra 60 grand?
$60,000 a year.
Just spending my money.
Please. Please, Leah Shabaro, please, no autographs.
Now, let's remember, some of these folks are staying local, so you can also represent them on my side, so.
Oh, let me tell you something, that's what I love the most. That's what, especially if I have a buyer for the house. Because they haven't picked the house up to buy, sellers haven't picked the house up. I swear to you, I had a house that was for sale by owner in Louisville. I called them, I already had a buyer for it. I already had a buyer. They showed it, they liked it. And they said, well, Russell, we need an extended closing date so we can find a place to move to. They started describing what they wanted to buy. Guess what they described? So it's the buyer's verbatim. I sold the buyer the seller's house, and I sold the seller the buyer's house, and made 5% on both of them.
Man.
When I broke into the business, I didn't have any spear. And we didn't have easy ways to find for sale by owners. I drove around neighborhoods, found signs and called them for sale by owners. That was how you had to find for sale by owners back in 2005, 2006.
Yeah, they didn't
They
advertise
don't
online.
exist.
Yeah, they didn't advertise online.
I would do the same thing Rusty did. I would give them things of value. And sometimes they worked out, a lot of times they didn't. But sometimes too, they would actually sell their own house, but they would let me represent them as a buyer. Sure. So.
I love what you said, Brandon, about if you just got one. I mean, if you just got one, could you use an extra 60K a year?
So do you send them things of value every week?
Every week. Every week, I send them something every week. It's either a property disclosure form, a CMA, it's a open house register, which it boggles my mind that they think an open house is gonna sell their house. Boggles my mind. That's never gonna happen, rarely. Something that's related to helping them get their home sold. Home enhancement suggestions, that Merrill May brochure that you can get. I mean, they're like a nickel a piece or something. Dirt cheap. Merrill May,
Yes.
MERRILL, May, and then line. And
We just switch it up every week.
Yeah. Yeah, just something new. And that's why you have to have it in the CRM, Ryan, because you gotta know what you said to them the last time. You gotta know what the motivation for moving was last time, so you don't get them confused. Yeah, I remember you telling me your cat got hit by a, no, that was somebody else. My cat got hit by a, what's that?
What do you know?
You know, remember, they don't know how to care what you know. You know what you care. How do they know? Because you are familiar with their situation. That's why you have to go.
So if you see a sign, you do not approach the house, you call them.
This is the world that we live in now, unfortunately, Brian. There's a lot of crazy people in the world. Even though you won't ever see me without my name tag. I mean, God bless all these other people that are in these bold classes and other classes that go knock on somebody's door, but people just won't answer. I mean, if they don't know you, I don't care if you're wearing ribbons from Vietnam. I mean, they're just not going to answer. They don't know. There's too many crazy people in the world. So I just.
So when you get a phone?
Well, that's easy. It's on the sign in the front yard.
Oh, that. Yeah.
Doesn't do good on that one. They're laughing rats on it.
What's the longest you've ever called someone?
That's a great question. I get that a lot when I teach this class. 36.
36 weeks.
36. But it was a $750,000 listing and I wanted it back. That was on the lake.
Same approach, same.
Same approach every time. And lots of times he would pick up the phone and he'd say, Rusty, I see it's time for you to call. And I'd say, yeah, just not yet. No, not yet. Well, expect it to be next week. Okay. And then, like I said, some nuts are cracking the first 3 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Some nuts crack in the 50 to 60th week. I don't care.
Yeah.
I I've got another 10 years in this business, Josh. If you ask my wife, she'll tell you 20. So I'm gonna be here. It don't matter to me.
Right.
And it doesn't take, what did I tell you that call took? 3, 4, 5 minutes? I mean, you can make 5 or 7 calls a day at 5 minutes a piece. My gosh. You got the time. If you ain't got the listings, you really got the time.
Yeah. How do you deal with people who just want to talk about whatever?
That's a great question too. Lots of times they want to give you their autobiography.
Yeah.
Because, I grew up in this little town and I remember when blah, 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 and I usually have to cut them off. I usually have to just say, look, I appreciate the fact that you're a Colombian native, because that means that you probably know more about this city than most people I know. But my goal is to help you get this house sold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you some information that's going to help you. CMA, home enhancement kit, brochure. And then I'm going to look for a buyer for you. Make that clear that I'm not looking to list this house. I'm looking to find you a buyer. You said you'd work with me if I had one, correct? Confirm it. Yes. Then let me go so I can go look for one. And then when you call the second time, don't forget to ask for the in-person preview. If you're willing to go through the time, trouble, and effort to get the car and go to the house, that means something to them. That means something to them. I mean, you legitimately are looking for a buyer if you're going to go look at the house. You're not just calling like everybody else.
What if someone says, we're selling our, I don't want to work with it, we're going to sell it ourselves? Well, I have a buyer. Yeah, we don't want to work with an agent. We want to.
That's a no.
What do you do?
What
with
does
that?
no mean?
No for now, call back in a week.
Motivation changes with time.
Okay.
Motivation changes. I would ask, remember, you're supposed to always ask permission.
Right.
I would say, I understand that you're not willing to work with one right now. It's a hot market like Brandon was talking about a minute ago. You'll probably end up selling it yourself anyway. But should you change your mind, I'd still like to help. He said, okay, if I keep in touch periodically just to see.
Yeah.
And then maybe drop back to every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You have to kind of gauge the personality of the person you talk to determine what they will be accepting of. Because you don't want to bug them. I mean, if you bug them, you sure you sure as heck aren't going to be able to represent if you bug.
Yeah. Right.
So now just gauge what you're hearing and help them accordingly. That's the best way I can put that. Okay. All right. Tracy, you got a question?
No,
You sure? You lucky you had a question?
I have a headache,
I'm sorry.
and I was trying to
Here.
figure out why it wasn't. working. And I realized this still
But you haven't taken your own
have
room yet.
That's why.
Well, then what?
Rusty, you do a lot of phone calls. Do you ever try to get out and see the house in person or meet them in person sooner or later, or? Is it
I
mostly
usually
just
go
a-
for the second phone call, and I have had some rejection on the second phone call to see it in person. So then I move it to the third phone call, or fourth call. I have learned that it's way more important to make that effort to see it in person, because without it, they don't think you're as serious, and they don't think you're as committed to company.
You probably have a much higher success rate on those that are willing to let you come in and
Yes.
do face to face.
Yes, yes, by far. By far.
When you get a rejection, is there a more common reason, or is there objections or rejection handling you can share that common?
Most of the time, it's because they think you're gonna come over and put a high pressure sales presentation on.
That makes sense, because they think we're car salesmen, but
Yeah.
so they think that, that makes sense.
Most of the time, that's what they think. And if they're turning you down for a personal preview, what Brandon's saying is, what's the appropriate response? Okay, maybe not now, keep in touch, we'll get together later, if I can still help you. And he may end up selling it on his own, it may not be a non-issue. But sooner or later, you've got to say, look, I try to treat seller prospects like I'd like to be treated. I'm not going to try to do the old used car, what's it going to take to get you in this car today? No disrespect to any of you who have used cars. They're salespeople. I just want to see the house. Talk plain to them. If they still won't do it, then that just becomes a non-issue, because it's just not going to let you see it. And you may or may not ever list that one. But my God, when you've got 1,600 more, what's one? Right? What's one if I've got that many more? I'm not going to lose sleep over that. All right, here's how I'm going to give this bottle. I hope y'all like fireball, which is nothing. This hurts me to give this away. I'm telling you, it hurts. On this piece of paper, I have written a 4-digit number. You take a blank piece of paper and write a 4-digit number. And the person who writes the 4-digit number, if that's closest to my 4-digit number without going over, wins. If all of you go over, then the person that's closest to it over wins. Does that sound fair? I know you got a headache. I really need to say that slower.
You know what?
This is a piece of paper. On it is a 4-digit number.
Okay.
I want you to write a 4-digit number on a piece of paper that you think is closest to my 4-digit number without going over. If everybody else goes over it except for one person, then that one person wins. But that doesn't mean that there's only going to be one person that stays under. If all of you go over, then the person that's closest to it that's over is going to win this bottle of Fireball. And when y'all leave here and you tell everybody Rusty gave away Fireball, y'all should have been with that one. Then maybe we'll have a better attendance next time. But I have a 4-digit number on this. And I'm going to go by and I'm going to see which one of you has it the closest. Okay, so far, you're over. Don't tell them what you're over. Because these people will change their number while I'm up.
Ready.
Price is right.
You're not ready. Are you ready? You're not ready. Brian, are you ready? Okay, you're under. That's not a 4-digit number.
It is what.
That means that was his guess, right? You win.
Exactly? Exactly.
Not exactly.
Oh,
Josh Sutter changed.
Ryan had 1,041, you had 1,025. He barely beat me. What was the number? 1234.
I ain't know.
Well, what was your number?
1234.
That's a secret.
Then you'll have to split it with Brandon.
We're in the same office. Gonna be on the.
Hey, everybody stop by Brandon for a cup of Fireball.
You know what the funny thing was, is my initial gut was 1,200. So that would have been good. It would have been.
Thank y'all for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Very informative.
I hope that you're able to use these techniques, particularly a few extra listeners this year, because they will help you, and then you can subsequently come back and try to help yourself online. Because I absolutely adore working with Keller Williams agents because I know that they're trained. I've come across so many untrained agents in the past couple of months, it's not even funny.
I do have one more question for you, kind of off topic. If you like for sale by owners or expired listings better, you work both, don't you?
I do.
Thank you.
Personally, I think I like expired listings better because it's more instantaneous. This is more of a process. Josh and I were talking on the way into the office. The one negative about this system is that you have to be comfortable with the fact that it's a process over time and it's a relationship developing process over time. Whereas with expireds and withdrawals, most of the time, if they were expired or withdrawn and they still need to move, they're going to be ready to get back on the market really quickly.
Yeah. Of course, there are no expireds right now, so.
No.
There's always.
But there are expireds from months ago because I had a guy that moved here from California. His name was Joseph White, and he wanted to live in the Hunters Mill subdivision because his cousin lived there. And I could not find a listing in there for weeks. And so I looked up at some expired listings that were more than 6 months old. And I found one that was 8 months old, and it was the floor plan that he wanted. And I called him up and I said, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I've got this guy named Joseph White that's moving here from California. He wants to move to the Hunters Mill subdivision to be close to his relatives. If you add the names and the situation, it legitimizes your call. You're not just some salesperson, you get it? And I said, I know you had your house on the market 8 months ago. Y'all aren't by any chance still thinking about moving, are you? And you know what she said to me? We just talked about that today. And I sold it to him, just like that. Didn't even have to list it. I sold it without listing.
One right there, the entrance.
Yeah, on the right.
Yep. Nice house.
So you can call older expireds but the real key there, in my opinion, Brandon, is you've got to really double check the history. Because just because it was an old expired doesn't mean it wasn't subsequently relisted and then sold.
So you can probably do that pretty easily. If you look at the listing and click on the
history.
tax.
The history, not tax.
The history.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes they'll sell by owner. I've seen some of those.
Yeah, but
where
that's
they-
rare.
Yeah.
That's rare. I mean, if I call one and they said we sold it by owner, I'm like, well, congratulations, next call.
That was really good. You guys have any favorite takeaways? That was awesome. Thank you, Rusty.
That's great. The second game on left.
No, he got that.
Yeah.
But it's legitimate though. No, he's saying that
Yeah,
legitimately.
yeah,
It would put him in a quandary if he called them they were listed.
yeah.
It would put him in a quandary. So, yeah. I'm glad for no other reason that you came to class to learn that.
It's really
And
an untapped resource. A lot of people call up for sale by owner and move on and never call them back again. And Rusty's right, it's a process. If you actually can block out time every morning or every afternoon just to call a few of the for sale owners and keep a running list, you will eventually get that list if they don't sell it themselves.
Yeah.
It's just a process, but if you can do it you don't have a lot of competition in that arena because most agents are call once and done. So if you're persistent, you're competing. You said 2%. I actually wouldn't even think 2% of agents in the market are persistently calling for sale by owners.
I don't think they are, but I mean, that was the stat I was given.
I mean, I think over the years, we've had a few agents in our market, you, myself, Brian Faltus, probably you and Brian, because I used to do a lot of that. You and Brian, I had with on those more than anything else.
It was so ironic to me when I first got into business, Brandon, that people weren't calling. You know, our goal is lead generation, find people who want to sell our house. It was so ironic to me to see that there were people advertising that they wanted to move and you wouldn't call. And it was even more ironic to me with the expired and withdrawn listings that somebody was wanting to sell and didn't mind working with a realtor. And nobody's calling. Because it's 2% on expired and withdrawn too.
Andy Mack used to do a lot of it. He's kind of moved out of that now.
Yeah.
There's a very, very small number of agents in our market that call for sale by owners for whatever reason. I never understood it.
Well, it's even more applicable now because I think if you can catch one that's a match for your buyer's criteria, you don't have the issues of multiple offers, which is a real pain. Because you can lose a buyer when they go and put in multiple offers 4, 5, 6 times and still don't get it. And they're offering thousands over the full price with no contingency on appraisal and they still don't get it. I mean, I had one that offered $30,000 over the list price. Not contingent on appraisal as is, and it's still didn't get it.
And I would, my opinion right now, and I'm sure you're going to agree, I'll be curious to hear your take on it. I think we as listing agents actually provide even more value right now, even though homes are selling quickly. Because the ability to generate multiple offers quickly, and then not only that, but to help these for sale by owners, they don't know what they're looking at, how to determine which offers are better.
Yeah.
I think we provide so much more value to them, which contracts are stronger and what they should be looking for, as far as terms like gap contingencies.
Escalation clause.
You know, they don't understand escalation. So, I think we provide a lot of value that sellers don't necessarily appreciate right now, because in their mind, it's like, oh, the home sells quick, I don't need you as much. But I think they need us more, they just don't realize it, so we have to educate them.
Yeah. I've said to them before, if they want to try it on their own, I always say, that's fine. Just remember, we live in a very legally intrinsic society these days. People will sue you in a minute if they feel like it's an opportunity to get rich quick. But
Yeah, you could probably even throw some lingo at it. I don't really need an agent, I'm gonna sell the house myself right now. Oh, so how are you gonna handle escalation clauses and gap contingencies when you receive offers?
Yeah.
What are those? Well, maybe you should come over and talk to you about what we do to sell your house. And another good question too, that I like to ask for sale by owners, because sometimes when I do get pushed back, I'll say, let me ask you a question. Do you care more about the commission you pay, or do you care more about your bottom line? Because you can only pick one or the other. Do you care about making more money or whether you pay a commission?
that's good.
Well, I care more about how much money I pay. Okay, well, let me come over and see if you can pay a commission. I still might be able to make more money than if you sold it by yourself. because sometimes I can. I've actually got, on the buy side, I'm representing 2 buyers on for sale owners. I can tell you they both got a lot of money on the table. I would say one's in Rolling Creek, which is a nice neighborhood. She didn't know what she was doing when she priced it. We came in right off the, like immediately, my people found it on Zillow, so we were her first showing, the first offer. She took it because we offered a full price.
Sure. So we did that
And
with
she
one,
was asking 430, and she probably could have got 475 for it.
we did that with one of the Woodlands last month.
Yes.
They could have had it for 290 and they wanted 269 and we gave them full.
Yeah, same thing. I got one over there, but he's like, I'm not really interested in a ton of showings and offers on like 629, and if you'll pay it, we'll go ahead and take your offer. Very same thing. We were the very first people to look at the home. He had an open house on Saturday. He got me on Friday and said, hey, we'll pay open house. You would just pay the full price. We'll cancel open house. So we did.
That's another thing that you,
630. That's a $630,000 property. And I think he probably could have easily gotten 700 for it in an open market with a bit more right now.
that's really another strategy that I've used in the past. I'll share with you before I go. Many is the time of sale owner is willing to pay a 3% commission to the selling broker if you're already representing the buyer. Since the total commission is now only 5, you really only need 2 more. I mean, if they're asking 300,000 for it, you tell them you can't list it for 305 and still get it.
Right? You said it, Shelf, 90% of the time the agent's going to be involved roughly. So,
Yeah.
you're right. Really, you don't have to justify 5% commission. That 2.5 is already there. You just have to
Just
justify.
tell, you
I'm going to
only,
bring 2.5%.
you only got to justify the other half. And plus, if you tell them that the majority of the homes that I'm selling for over the list price anyway. I got one I talked to just yesterday and he said, I think I'm gonna put it up at 315. I said, well, you probably get it. And it'll probably be non-contingent on price. There's people who are coming out of California and hell, they can't get out of New England fast enough. Yeah. They got cash. They buy a $500,000 home down here. It's a mansion down here for a $500,000 home. When they're living in California, that's a 2-bedroom townhome. They're lucky. Okay, thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much.
See you next time.
Thank you.
Who is the Zoom meeting? So